Okay, you're live.
Thank you, Rosie. I would like to call to order the County of Chautauqua Industrial Development Agency Board of Directors meeting. This is a Zoom conference. It's January 26, 2021. It's a little after 10 a.m. I'm going to have a roll call, please. Mike Metzger is here. Gary Henry? Here. Hans Auer?
Here, sorry.
Nope, no problem. Mark Odell?
Here.
Stephen Thorpe?
Here.
Dennis Rack?
Here.
Kelly Farrell Du Bois?
Here.
Brad Walters?
Here.
Let the record show that there are 8 members present. We have quorum. Would like to entertain a motion for the approval of the December 15th, 2020 minutes, which you have previously received. Thank you, Rosie.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Motion by Mark. Do we have a second?
A second.
A motion by Mark, seconded by Dennis. Any discussion, review, changes, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carried unanimously. Okay, let's get right down into new business. And new business A, this is a presentation. Linda, if you could please introduce it, and Millen will participate.
Good morning. We've been working with Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores in the town of Ripley for over a year now on this exciting project, with their plans to develop a travel stop in the town of Ripley at the first exit off the thruway at the western border of New York State on the south corner of I-90 and Shortman Road. This is the site of the Colonial Squire Motel that had been non-operational for many years. The facility will consist of a convenience store building and a fast food type restaurant, as well as a tire repair building. There will be separate areas for truck and auto fueling, as well as separate truck and auto parking areas. And a little bit of history from the loves.com site. They were founded in 1964 and headquartered in Oklahoma City. Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores has more than 530 locations in 41 states, providing professional truck drivers and motorists with 24-hour access to clean and safe places to purchase their gasoline, diesel fuel, compressed natural gas, travel items, electronics, snacks, restaurant offerings, and more. Love's Truck Care offers heavy-duty tire care, including tire pass, mechanical services, and roadside assistance. Love's Hospitality provides a growing network of hotels and storage rental locations, and Love's Financial offers freight bill factoring and back office support to professional drivers. The Love's family of companies has more than 28,000 employees in their travel stops, speed locations, and country stores from coast to coast. Their corporate offices in Oklahoma City and their corporate offices with Musket Corporation in Trillium. This is in addition to the men and women who transport their fuel across the United States with Gemini Motor Transport. Their employees are dedicated to helping Love's customers and the communities in which they work and live. I recently received Love's application for tax incentives for their $13.325 million project to construct a 22,000 square foot travel plaza on a 16-acre parcel. We've discussed the project with County Executive PJ Wendell and the Ripley Town Supervisor Doug Bowen, who are both supporting this project that will create roughly 100 jobs during the construction phase and 43 full-time once completed and operational. On April 9th, 2020, the Town of Ripley Town Board and Lead Agency approved a resolution adopting a negative declaration under SECRA for the development of the 6151 Shortman Road by Love's Travel Stops and Country Stores, Inc. Today, I'm requesting the board's authorization and execution of a preliminary agreement that includes a real property tax abatement deviation from the standard 10-year pilot and a sales and use tax exemption. A mortgage recording tax exemption has not been requested with this application. Millen, would you like to comment on the preliminary agreement and secret at this time?
All of the preliminary resolution preliminary agreements are the form that the board has used time and time again. The only thing I think that is different in this application is that we understand that Love's is negotiating with the town for a host community agreement where Love's will pay some amount directly to the town, and that may influence the negotiation of the pilot, which is why Linda mentioned that we are likely to deviate from the standard pilot. So again, the preliminary resolution authorizes and instructs the board and council to conduct the due diligence and if necessary, publish the deviation notice. And obviously this will come back to the board in a month or so for final approval once all of those steps have been taken.
Does the board have any questions?
Thank you, Millen, for that very laconic and presentation. This is a tremendous, exciting project for Chautauqua County and for this region, and it's taking land that would normally not be utilized for economic development. So, questions from we've heard about this before. Thank you, Linda. And any questions from the board for Linda or Millen?
Just a quick question, Mr. Chairman. Actually, this is going to enhance if we're able to get the Ripley Gateway Center rolling. So I think this is the first step. Under leadership of now Senator Borrello when he launched that initiative a few years back. So I think this is a good step, and as we look to hopefully draw other investors to it, this will be a good ace in the hole for us to have. Thank you.
Excellent point, Mark. Thank you. Any other?
Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, it's Mark.
Yes.
This is, we've been working with Love's for a couple of years now. We've had a lot of meetings with them, and this is really a win-win because not only does it create commerce at our gateway, but it also, through the host agreement, allows the town to do needed upgrades to the water and sewer infrastructure. So it really helps out the town. It helps out, Love's. It helps out the county. It creates jobs. So it's really a great project.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? None.
Is there a time frame for construction?
Brad, yes.
Yeah, it should be completed in 2021.
I know they're building one right now on I-86 over near Bath, and it's a big facility. If it's anything like that one.
Yes, there's currently one on the 90 in Ohio at exit 241, which I can tell you I've been to about 200 times on my travels to Cleveland, and it's an excellent facility, always very well cleaned and maintained.
So Brad, the bids are out for demolition,
Okay.
and April 19th is the target for groundbreaking on that.
All right.
I also had, as my experience, I did a Christmas exchange in Binghamton at the Love Truck Stop, store number 237, and I sent a picture and sent it to my contact at Love's and thanked him for letting me use the parking lot for my Christmas gift exchange.
Another really cool thing about Love's is they really take care of their employees. In their application, they're showing project 6 management positions with a salary range from 60 to 80,000, and fringe benefits from 6 to 8,000 on top of that. So they really take care of their employees.
Excellent point.
This is Hans, guys. I just wanted to say, I don't know, but that Love's brand feels like a premium. It's almost like a Wegmans of truck stops. I don't even want to call it a truck stop because it's so much more than that. But this is awesome. I mean, this is great stuff. Just what we need at a time like this. So very exciting. And Rich, I hope you bought one of those giant bears they have for.
Unfortunately, I have 2 of them, and they're in my house.
You know, it reminds me a little bit of a Waffle House, though. When you walk in, whoever's at the counter greets you and says, "Hello, how you doing today?" So it's a very friendly place, that's for sure.
No, this is we couldn't ask for a better partner in this project. Yep. Okay. If I could please ask Mark Odell to read the resolution, to move the resolution.
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Resolution number 01-26-21-01, Love's preliminary resolution.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second that.
Motion made by, seconded by Dennis. I will have a roll call vote, please. Mike Metzger votes aye. Henry?
Aye.
Hanzauer?
Aye.
Mark Odell?
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe?
Aye.
Dennis Rack?
Aye.
Kelly Farrell Du Bois?
Aye.
Brad Walters?
Aye.
Let the record show that we have 8 votes in the affirmative. Motion carried unanimously. Okay? Well done, Linda and team. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. I'm going to, for new business B, I'm going to ask Rich and Greg to present the second round of our Epa Cares Act loan fund disbursements.
Thank you, Mike. So we'll do the same thing we did last time. I will rattle through these, and then if there's any questions at the end, we can. If I can't answer them, we'll pass them to the business development managers. Just a little preface that the lender this time, as we would have suspected, not quite as sophisticated as the first round, but I think I want to compliment the business development managers. Certainly everyone on this list has a need, and I thought it went really smooth. Again, a lot of hard work. So starting off with the Service Manufacturing Group, SMG Harson. We're a current loan customer of ours. We've worked with them before. They're asking for some working capital, furniture, fixture, and equipment, and real property. So they'll have a three notes for that loan. Their foundry was impacted by the coronavirus. They've had to extend their delivery terms due to cash flow issues. Vendors are short paying cycles while clients are extending their terms, creating a cash flow need. But they feel they're on the right path to get through this difficult time with this funding. Monofrac, we're all familiar with Monofracs down in Faulkner. They requested a $250,000 working capital. We've cut that to $125,000. That's the recommendation of the board. We will get a subordinate lien on all position on all assets there. The justification is that they ramped up business slowly because COVID pretty much shut them down. They lost significant orders, and they need to buy some zirconium raw material, very expensive, and that's what they'll use their working capital for. Tulsa roll form. Robert originally asked for over $200,000, but he got quotes that it's down to $55,000. And this is for equipment that will clean the air inside his facility. They'll reduce the pathogens by 90%. So this is clearly going to help his employees. National Comedy Center came in for $250,000 working capital. We all know they've just been devastated by the lack of traffic coming in there. So that we also reduced their working capital to 125. Southern Tier Environment for Living, Stell. Again, they've had some issues with their cash flow. They have a huge project that they're undergoing here, and the money is just dried up and the expenses haven't. So this will help them weather the storm as they go through that. Let's see. I can't pronounce this. The Polish Home Association in Dunkirk. They have some employees there negatively impacted by COVID. They've actually closed for multiple weeks. They canceled their events and lost a lot of their fundraising. So they voluntarily closed at the time of this application with others in the immediate area. And they hope to open soon and use this money to get prepared for that.
It's Kosciuszko.
Kosciuszko, okay, all right. Kosciuszko. Millen could have pronounced that.
Kosciuszko.
There you go. Originally, they asked for 250. We again, you all know they have just been devastated by their revenue stream, devastated by COVID. We've reduced them to 125. She talked with cleaners at Jamestown, one of our clients. They're asking for a working capital. Again, we reduced theirs to 100,000. All the collateral is listed on the sheet here and the terms. I won't get into that unless there's a question. Faulkner Power and Search, Harley Davidson, again, another customer of ours. We actually helped them build that facility in Faulkner years ago. I remember when I came here, that loan had just been made a few years before, and it's all paid off. And again, they asked for some working capital. They've been devastated by COVID. We reduced theirs. Lynn Development also working capital. One of the big things for Lynn Development is that their tenant in the federal building that they purchased, the call center, didn't pay a dime of rent since March. They've actually left the facility, sticking them with a big bill. And they're going to use this to pay some taxes and other bills and utilities. Ready About Sailing and Faulkner. They asked, or at Cellron, they asked for some working capital and furniture, fixture, and equipment. Working capital was reduced. Furniture and equipment is to replace some of the rental equipment that they actually sold to stay afloat during the COVID pandemic because they didn't have money to buy new ones to sell, so they sold the ones that they rented. Rocky's Karate, they originally asked for 200. They were reduced to 25 in working capital. Just based on their revenue and expense, the loan committee felt that was appropriate. MMC, the Landmark, they're going to do some renovations there and enhance their outside seating. Here in Jamestown, that'll help them extend, get more people in the facility. Scott's Peak and Peak, $250,000 request for working capital, that was reduced. But then $750 for, again, working capital or furniture, fixture, and equipment to enhance their outside capability for dining, feeding people safely outside and doing that. So that's in there, and that was approved by the loan committee. Maple Springs is a little complicated. There's a bed and breakfast. There's the Taco Bell. They asked for $100,000 in working capital. We gave them $50,000, and then they have $150,000 on a balloon payment that's due that we're allowed to do, and we're going to help take them out. And the last one is Lido's Crescent Inn. They asked for 25, and we'll give them 25. That's the minimum loan we could make. For a few organizations that had applied that didn't have any active employees, without employees, the loan committee didn't approve those. There's only 2 of those, I believe. So, again, we will proceed to close these and move as quickly as we can on these. So, unless there's any questions, Mike, that's all I have.
Questions for Rich?
Mike?
Yep.
Mark here.
Sure.
If I could just real quick turn everyone's attention to the bottom of the spreadsheet. And you can see the balances there. And I just wanted to point out a couple of things. you can see in our first round, we expended about 5.4 million. We suspect there might be one, maybe two, but probably just one of those loans that doesn't follow through. So there might be an additional or a little less that we've expended in round one. Round two, 2.6 million, and round two split it. So the remaining is about 1.9 to say 2.4 will be available for the third round. That third round, of course, will be considering those loans in April. We'll be averaging the next couple of weeks, and there's 2 or 3 weeks of application intake. I think what's interesting about this is when we first considered, how are we going to go about trying to make sure that this money gets, allocated into various sectors. We sort of set some targets in each of those sectors, and our fear was that, a lot of it would be gobbled up by the manufacturing sector. And what we're actually seeing is that the tourism and hospitality sector has really taken the lion's share of the funding, which is not a bad thing. And I think what that points to is that, we're hearing from the manufacturing sector that a lot of them are doing well. People like Refresco and Nestle and Cummins, Rand and others. And of course, the tourism and hospitality sector is really getting hit hard. It's also good to see that the small business sector and the not-for-profit sector are taking advantage of this loan program as well. So that's exactly what the EDA wanted us to do, is make sure that we push this out to as many sectors as possible. I just want to say one more thing. We set aside that 2.8 million for special projects. Those were several projects that have received grant funding from the state. If they move forward, if we felt like it would be a good idea to try to leverage this money to get those projects off of ground zero. It's looking like we were hoping that would happen before the round 3 kicked in, but there's maybe one of those projects that looks like it's getting some traction. So a fair share of that 2.8 will just, or all of it, and we'll make that decision, will just be allocated back up into the regular loan program. So that's all I have, Mike. Thank you. Unless there's any questions for me.
No, thank you, Mark. Very important to identify that we've reached all of our sectors. And in full transparency, we've had discussions relative to the risk assessment of our loan portfolio is changing based on the introduction of specifically round 2 of the loans. They are correct that we should be giving out this money. It is proper to go to these smaller establishments, but we must realize that we're going to have to adjust our bad debt reserves to represent that the level of collateral of these small businesses is of course not to the level of the mix of our current portfolio. So, Rich, do you want to talk just to what we look to increase our debt reserve by to compensate and to make sure that we cover these possible situations of loan defaults?
Sure. Rich, before you do that, you kind of stole my thunder a little, Mike, because I was going to talk about that under my CEO report.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But no, that's okay. We can talk about it now. It makes sense to talk about it now. Certainly, we recognize, like Mike said, that there's certainly a fair amount of risk associated with these loans. We're lending to a lot of small businesses and sole proprietors, with limited collateral and limited personal guarantees. So the risk is certainly significant. There's no doubt about it. That being said, it's exactly what the EDA asked us to do. They wanted us to get this money out to those who need it the most. They wanted us to get it out quickly. They wanted us to relax our collateral requirements. They wanted us to push it out into many sectors. And so that's exactly what we're doing. And I will tell you that we communicate with the EDA every month, and they're very happy with what we're doing. So we do expect that there will be significant default or default. I don't know how significant, but there certainly will be, we think, higher default rates than there has been with the LTEC loan, and we need to prepare for that. So with that, Rich, why don't you talk about what we're going to do?
Yeah, I think so. The Epa Cares Act is a completely separate funding request, Mike, and we're keeping it very segregated from the All-Tech. Kayla has done a fabulous job with that. So what we plan to do as we receive the money from the Economic Development Administration, we record that as revenue. So if we get let's say we get $3.5 million that came in December, or $4 million because the loans are ready to close, I plan on getting about 40% of that right off the bat. So we'll still show revenue in that year, because what I don't want to do is recognize all the revenue one year and then write it off in another year and show a big loss. So we're going to do about 40% right off the bat. I'm also going to be reviewing the All-Tech and the CRLF, and we're going to go through that a little bit more in detail in the executive session. But that's my goal here, because that's exactly what the EDA wanted to do. As Mark said, these loans are going to be more riskier, but they wanted this money out to help people in the community as quickly as possible. And I think we've been very effective. And Mark, did you want to talk a little bit about maybe going back to them at CARES and seeing what we could do?
Yeah, I don't know what the chances are that we might be able to get additional funding. But looking at the fact that we will have lent all of this out, I think within the first 6 to 8 months of receiving it, certainly demonstrates to the EDA that we're able to get this money out there. So we're going to have a conversation, see if we can get some more money. Maybe we'll try to get 5 million more. I don't know, but we'll see what the chances are. But we're going to try.
Excellent, great. I just wanted to make sure that we were transparent to both the board members and the community on it's the right thing to do, and it's also the right thing to reserve for it properly. So thank you, Mark and Rich. Any other questions regarding?
I just want to say, having read through the loan committee's report and everything, I think they've done a really good job. And, we know some of these are going to be risky loans, but that's what the money's for. But there's a couple of the, people that applied that probably really weren't a good fit. They don't have employees or whatever. So I thought the loan committee did a good job of, going through that process and approving the ones that needed approved and the ones that weren't a good fit, setting on the side.
Thank you, Gary. Good point.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just like to echo Gary. Yeah, great stuff for the loan. You guys have had some heavy lifting here in a short amount of time. So we have the other board members. Thank you very much for that. And Mark and the team. We got the CARES Act money because you guys have a working template, or we have a working template, that works. We just broadened it, with the CDA additional funds, and that's great. Rich, we're preparing for the worst and hoping for the best, with the risk. So good job on all fronts.
Excellent, thank you. Any other questions, comments?
Mike, I'll just finish my comments, but I just want to thank both Lytle, Greg, and Crystal, and everybody there for a fantastic job working with Kayla, and thank Kayla and also the business development managers. This is not easy. They have been very busy, and it's hard. We have to do everything remotely, and but everybody's done a good job there. I just want to commend them.
Thank you for recognizing it. Yes. And thank you, team, for excellent results. Gary, would you mind moving new business B1?
Yes. Resolution 01-26-21-02, resolution of the members of County of Auckland Industrial Development Agency to grant Department of Commerce Economic Development Administration Award to the revolving loan fund.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Okay.
Motion made by Gary, seconded by Brad. I will have a roll call vote, please. Mike Metzger votes aye. Gary Henry.
Aye.
Hans Howard.
Aye.
Mark Odell.
Aye.
Stephen Thorpe.
Aye.
Dennis Rack.
Aye.
Kelly Farrell Du Bois.
Aye.
Brad Walters.
Aye.
Let the record show we have 8 votes in the affirmative. Motion carried unanimously. All right, now that I've given all of Mark's thunder for his executive director report, I don't know what he's going to do. So,
Well, I'll be really quick because I know you have a hard stop at 11:15. So, just really quick, I did want to introduce Rebecca Worcester, who's on the call with us, or on the Zoom with us today. She's replaced Don McCord as a planning coordinator with the county. As you're probably all aware, she was the development director in the city of Dunkirk for a number of years. Did a great job up there. We're really blessed to have her join our team. So welcome, Rebecca. Secondly, I wanted you all to know that I think in February I'll try to do a year in review 2020 and talk about the accomplishments, what we did. So I'm going to try to do that next month. And I did want to echo what Mike has said and what Rich has said. What a great job our team has done, our business development managers, Rich, and Millen, and the Phillips Lytle team, and Kayla. Just really, really great work. Thank you so much. You're killing it. And that's all I have, unless I have any questions from anybody.
Mark, I've got a question. What's going on with that Connect Gen job in Ripley? I saw they had a little spat with the fire department recently.
Yeah. So, and I'll ask Rich to jump in here too, but, Connect Gen, we've been negotiating with them regarding the pilot since we passed the preliminary resolution. And, they made an offer to us, which we felt was way too low. We made a counter offer, which they felt was too high, and they made a counter offer back to us. And at the present time, we have an energy expert that is assisting us in reviewing Connect Gen's position paper, which they're trying to justify on a certain pilot payment. So we're in the process of reviewing that, and we're having a conversation with them this afternoon, and then I believe on Wednesday, tomorrow evening, they're having a public meeting to let the public know where they're at with things. On the legislature side, of course, there's the legislature several months ago had talked about moratorium on large solar projects. They've I guess taken a break from actually fighting on that at the moment to do some due diligence. And Mark Odell could talk about that if you want, but they're looking at all the information. They're talking about having a workshop so that they have all the information that they need before, or if they take that action.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Mark. I'll just interject now. No need to rush to judgment. That's what we got. At least from the IDA stance, there's nothing coming down the pike immediately. And in the legislature, we're jacks of many trades, masters of none. So we wanted to make sure that everyone had the time to assess both sides, do some workshops, in an open environment. Of course, we'll be calling back to you and Rich, and we can get if we could talk Dennis Eisenbach, from Phillips Lytle, the energy expert there in that field too, to his expertise speak to us, Connect Gen, and others, and the constituents. So it's a fine balance from the legislature standpoint. because we're representing the people, but we have to look at the whole county as a whole and what's best for all. So nothing in a rush. So we'll be spearheading that, I guess, through my committee and planning and economic development. But again, it'll be a systematic approach, without the emotion. That I can promise you.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. And the last thing I wanted to say is that ConnectGen is currently in the process of doing their Article 10 review. So it's looking at everything from public safety to environmental health and safety and everything in between. And so they're undertaking that process right now. Do you have more to add to that, Rich?
Yeah, I would just on the timeline of things, Brad, we passed that resolution a long time ago at the IDA, which kicked into motion us working with Phillips Lytle to get a demand funding agreement in place, where the company actually gave us $35,000 for us to pay for people to experts in the field that we're not experts. So with the help of Phillips Lytle, we've hired an expert who has done valuations of solar plants, nuclear facilities, he's done appraisals, and he's requested some documents from the company to look and see, what they can afford. One of the things that everybody wants to know is if this does move forward, what are we going to get? And from the developer side, what is this going to cost us? So the company has opted out of Article 10, I believe, Mark, and now they're into the Article 23, the siting process, which was the new siting process with the governor. So they've decided to go that route. That is a little expedited. But the environmental work won't be done for a while, probably toward the end of this year. So we couldn't do an approving resolution, as you all know, until the environmental work was done, if we so choose. So we have to wait for the environmental work to be done. But we could, in 3-4 months, pass some resolutions, laying out what the pilot would look like, what some of the terms of that would be, so that the company, again, if we move forward, they have certainty, because that's what they're looking for here is certainty. Go get financing and things. They need to have certainty. So again, we take the lead of the town here. The town is still moving ahead with this. The town still wants it. So, that's what we're doing in the meantime. I will say that public meeting is on Thursday, Mark, and I'll have Rosie send that link to the board. That's Thursday at 6 o'clock with ConnectGen. So that should be interesting to see who's on there. So Rosie will send that out to the board. That's all
Rich, can I just piggyback on what you're saying real quick? I know we want to be sensitive to everyone's time today, and Rich, we've talked about this. The certainty that you talked about has to, I think, if we need to think about projecting an image that we're open to these types of alternative energy ideas as a region and as a community. I can just tell you from my perspective, investors are demanding now that their money be placed with companies and in areas where we take into factor these ESG components, environmental, social, and governance. You're going to hear that acronym an awful lot over the next few years. You'll also hear about sustainability, I think, even more. And I think certainty to the developers is one thing, but potential investors in our community that may want to look to start a business, they're going to want to know that our region is committed to being open-minded and forward-thinking about developing some of these sustainable projects. I know that there has to be a balance, and I agree with you, Mark, that there has to be a process that considers all sides. But I think we have a real opportunity here, and I hope that we don't squander it by dragging a process out more in a longer way and just trying to put up hurdles. I'm not implying that's what's happening at all, because I think everyone's been acting in really faith. But I just feel strongly there's a real opportunity here to sort of set ourselves up as a region that's welcoming of these types of projects where appropriate.
Hey, Hans, if I could comment on that, I don't know if you guys read that Amazon is building one of their large warehouses in Monroe County, and then 2 smaller warehouses. And it's people like that I'm afraid that passing a moratorium against renewable energy projects will scare people like that away from building here. I mean, you've got Cummins Engine, you've got the major companies in our country that are looking to convert to renewables. goals over time here, and I think we need to project a positive image. I agree with you, and I'm not saying that's why we didn't get Amazon at all, but those things come into play, like you said, that the three pillars of sustainability come into play. So.
Yeah, Hans, I will send out. I had prepared some things for Pierre Chagnon, and then when we had a meeting with them, and it talked about that very thing with the top 50 companies in the Fortune 500 and how they've all committed to this 100% renewable. And Cummins is on the list, 43% right now renewables. They have a goal to get to 100. If we have any chance of making electric engines here and want to get into that business and do these things, I agree with you. We have to keep an open mind and make sure we're embracing it. I'll have Rosie send that out to the board as well.
Rosie, if I could just add it too, Rosie, could be kind enough forward that to Kathy Campio and request that she sends that to the legislators too. It's kind of a late notice in a couple days, but it's that notice come across.
Yeah, I actually sent an email this morning on behalf of Mark to all the legislatures. But
Okay.
You want me to send it to Kathy too?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
As long as it hit their inbox, I'll follow up with a request. Hey, so just take a look at this as part of the diligence. But just to be clear, the county cannot put a moratorium on anything. This is a town issue. The county can make a recommendation or a request to the IDA to not have a pilot agreement. And the reason for that at all, as we've discussed before, is pilots are the offset for long-term jobs and employment. That's what's going to be the considering factor here. It's long-term employment. If we're at 3 to 4 FTEs, that's not 100 FTEs. But that's going to be one cog of the whole thing. But just to be clear, there's no moratorium that the county can put in to stop this project.
Okay, excellent discussion. Thank you. Any questions for Mark? I want to say that I had the opportunity of working with Rebecca in North County, and she is excellent and an excellent addition to this team. Rebecca, do you want to say a few words, please?
Yeah, thank you for the great introduction, Mark, and kind words, Mike. I'm looking forward to getting to know everyone and doing some great work in the county, so I'm excited to be here. Thanks again.
Thank you. Looking forward to working with you. Treasurer's report, Rich.
Well, Mike, I talked to Hans a little bit about this. With everything that's going on with the CARES Act and with Mark and Nate doing such a good job getting all these special grants into the Partnership for Economic Growth, we're going to do our end of the year sum up in February. Normally, we don't have a report in February, but we need a little more time to get this all together. And with the CARES Act and jamming all this in here and working remotely, a little harder this year. So we'll have end of the year numbers. I think they're going to look pretty good in February. So no treasurer's report today.
Thank you, Rich. Rich did share some of the numbers with me, and it's looking very good. So you've been doing the right thing, working on the CARES Act and ensuring that we get monies out to these businesses that are in need. So thank you. I'm going to entertain a motion to move to executive session to discuss particular businesses, financials, and or real property. Do I have a motion? Moved. Thank you, Dennis. Do I have a second? Thank you, Stephen. We have a motion by Dennis, seconded by Stephen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?